It was funny, in a cruel sort of way. You can sleep next to someone for years, memorize the rhythm of their breath, and still feel like you're sharing a bed with a stranger. I used to believe that silence between us meant comfort. But lately, it felt like drowning in an ocean where he refused to throw me a rope. Ethan hadn't kissed me in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And I counted every second like a punishment carved into my bones. The mornings felt colder even when the summer heat pressed against the glass windows of our Brooklyn apartment. He still brewed coffee for Meblak. No sugar, but it was mechanical. Like setting a timer. Like loving me had turned into a chore he was too polite to quit. I told myself it was stress. Work. Maybe. God knows being a corporate lawyer was eating him alive. But then came the nights when he stayed late at the office and didn't bother texting. The way he used to. The way his phone tilted away from me whenever a notification popped up. That subtle curve of his wrist. As if hiding a screen was easier than hiding his soul. But I had no right to feel betrayed. Not really. Not when I was hiding something far worse. The secret didn't start big. It started as a whisper. A choice I told myself was temporary. But lies are living things, they grow teeth. They eat away at you. Mine was gnawing at me every second I looked into his eyes and saw the man I promised forever to. I'm HIV positive. The words never left my lips. Not even when we signed the papers 2 years ago. Standing in front of a judge with shaky hands and grins that felt like sunrise. I found out 6 months before the wedding. I told myself I'd wait until I had the right words. The right time. Except there's never a right time to break the person you love. So I buried it under laughter and Sunday mornings tangled in sheets. Thinking love could be enough to silence a truth like that. It wasn't. That night. He came home late again. Midnight. The city outside our window hummed with sirens and distant laughter. I sat on the couch. The TV flashing colors I wasn't really watching. Waiting like some pathetic shadow of the man I used to be. He looked exhausted. Tie loosened. Eyes unreadable. But he didn't kiss me hello. He didn't even smile. We need to talk, he said. My heart stuttered. People don't start sentences like that unless they're about to set something on fire. I tried to laugh. Make it casual. Sounds serious. Should I pour us a drink? He shook his head. His jaw clenched like he was holding back an earthquake. How long were you planning on keeping it from me? The room tilted. My breath caught like a fish on a hook. For a second, I thought he meant the fights, the distance, the Cold War brewing in our bed. But then his eyes, God. Those eyes cut through me like a blade. And I knew. He knew. Ethan, my voice cracked. His name tasted like guilt and desperation. I wanted to tell you. When? His tone wasn't angry. That was worse. It was calm. Almost too calm. Like a sea before a hurricane. After 5 years. 10. Or were you planning to take it to the grave and let me figure it out at your funeral? I couldn't look at him. My hands trembled so hard I clenched them into fists. I was scared. Scared. He laughed. Sharp and bitter. You think I wasn't? When the doctor called me about the routine checkup I did for work. And he suggested I get tested again. You think I didn't feel my whole world implode in that moment? My head snapped up. You've been tested. Yes, he said. And his voice broke for the first time that night. And thank God. I'm negative. But that's not the point. Is it? The silence after that was heavy enough to crush me. I wanted to cross the room, grab him, make him understand that this wasn't a betrayal of love, but fear. That every kiss, every touch, every heartbeat I gave him was real. But my legs wouldn't move, and his walls were higher than I could climb. "You should hate me," I whispered. He looked at me for a long time. Long enough for tears to blur my vision. Long enough for my chest to ache with every breath. Then he said, so softly it felt like a knife slipping between my ribs, "I did. For a while. But then I realized, you didn't lie because you didn't love me. You lied because you thought you'd lose me." I nodded. Because it was true. And because the lump in my throat made it impossible to speak. He stepped closer, and my pulse went wild. His scent cedar and rain hit me like a memory of home. When his fingers brushed mine, I nearly collapsed. "You don't get to decide for me, Alex," he murmured. "Not about this. Not about us." "I'm sorry," I choked out. 2 words. Useless against the weight of everything I'd broken. "I know," he said. And for the first time in weeks, his arms came around me, pulling me into a hug that felt like both punishment and salvation. But forgiveness isn't love. Not yet. And as I buried my face in his shoulder, I couldn't shake the question that clawed at my chest. Was this the beginning of healing or the beginning of goodbye? The hug didn't last long. Maybe a minute. Maybe 2. But when he let go, the distance felt sharper than before. Like the space between us had teeth. "I need time," Ethan said. His voice was steady now. Measured. Like he'd folded his anger into neat little boxes. "You should stay at your brother's for a while." The words sliced through me, leaving nothing but raw edges. "You're kicking me out." "I'm asking for space," he corrected. And God, that almost hurt more. Because space wasn't final. Space was hope in disguise. "Alex, I can't breathe right now. I can't think. Every time I look at you, I feel everything. Anger, love, fear. It's too much." I wanted to argue. To drop to my knees if I had to. But something in his eyes told me this wasn't a negotiation. So I nodded. Because what else could I do? I packed a bag that night, shoving clothes into a duffel with shaking hands, leaving pieces of myself scattered across the apartment we built together. The place smelled like uscoffee and candle wax and faint traces of cologne on the pillows. And when I closed the door behind me, it felt like erasing a life with a single click. The first week at my brother's was hell. Not because the couch was uncomfortable or because his apartment smelled like takeout and gym socks, but because silence became my only company. I didn't call Ethan. He didn't call me. Every hour that passed without a text felt like a brick added to the wall between us. I kept checking his socials like a junkie, desperate for a hit of his life. Nothing. No posts. No stories. Just a black hole where my world used to be. My phone became a shrine of unanswered prayers. And then, one night, it rang. "Meet me at Prospect Park." His voice said. Just that. No explanation. No softness. But it was enough to make me grab my jacket and sprint like my lungs didn't matter. The park was quiet, draped in the muted glow of streetlights and the silver sheen of moonlight. I found him near the lake, hands shoved into his coat pockets, looking like something out of a dream I'd forgotten how to have. "Ethan," my breath came in clouds. "You called." Yeah. He turned. And for a moment, the sight of him stole every word from my throat. His hair was a little messy, like he'd run his hands through it 100 times. His eyes held storms and sunsets all at once. I've been doing a lot of thinking, he said finally. About us. About what love really means. My heart thudded like a war drum. And I realized something. Love isn't about the perfect version of the person you fall for. It's about the truth of them. All of it. The good. The bad. The broken pieces. His voice cracked on the last word. I can't pretend what you did didn't hurt me. Because it did. It still does. But walking away from you feels worse. I swallowed hard. I never wanted to hurt you. I know. He stepped closer. The crunch of gravel under his boots loud in the stillness. I hate that you thought you had to carry this alone. That you didn't trust me enough to share it. I was scared. I whispered. Because it was the only truth I had left. His eyes softened then. Just a fraction. So was I. When his hand found mine, it wasn't fireworks. It wasn't cinematic. It was something quieter. Something strong, a pulse of life in the middle of all the wreckage. And when he pulled me into his arms, the weight of the last few weeks crashed into me like a tidal wave. I cried. Ugly. Shaking sobs that soaked his coat and wrung me out from the inside. He held me through all of it. His chin resting on my hair. His breath steady against my temple. I'm not promising this will be easy. He murmured. We're going to need counseling. Boundaries. Honesty. All of it. I'll do whatever it takes. I said. And I meant it with every piece of me that was still standing. He pulled back just enough to look me in the eye. Then start now. No more secrets. Ever. No more. I swore. My voice didn't shake this time. We walked back to his car in silence. Fingers intertwined. The kind of silence that didn't drown you but cradled you instead. The city hummed in the distance. But in that moment, the world felt small, just the two of us under a bruised midnight sky, trying to stitch something broken back together. The next months were a battle. Some days, we fought like wild things, tearing open old wounds. Other days, we lay tangled on the couch, watching stupid movies and laughing like none of it had happened. Healing wasn't linear. It was messy, brutal, beautiful. I started therapy. So did he. We sat in couple sessions and ripped ourselves open, spilling truths we'd buried under layers of fear. There were nights I caught him staring at me like he was still searching for the man he married. There were nights I wasn't sure he'd find him. But then came the mornings. The slow return of rituals. Coffee brewing. Sunlight crawling across our kitchen floor. His voice humming under his breath while he read the news. Little things. Fragile as glass. But real. One evening, months later, I came home to find candles flickering on the dining table and a familiar scent curling through the air. Garlic. Butter. Wine. He stood at the stove, sleeves rolled up, hair catching the light like strands of fire. What's all this? I asked, heart stuttering like it remembered how to hope. He glanced over his shoulder, a small smile tugging at his mouth. Thought we could celebrate. Celebrate what? He turned fully then, holding up 2 glasses of wine. Us. Surviving the storm. Something broke open in my chest. something warm and trembling. I crossed the room and kissed him slow, deep, like a prayer answered. His hands framed my face, gentle but sure, and for the first time in forever, I didn't taste fear between us. Just love. Raw and real and stronger than the lies that tried to kill it. Later, as we sat on the balcony, city lights winking like stars below, he rested his head on my shoulder and whispered, "Promise me one thing. Anything. No more hiding. Whatever happens, we face it together." I pressed a kiss to his hair. Together, I vowed. And for the first time in years, I believed it. They say love is easy. They're wrong. Love is work. Love is bleeding and breaking and building again from the rubble. Love is standing in the dark and reaching for a hand you're not sure will still be there and feeling it close around yours anyway. And as Ethan's fingers curled into mine under that velvet sky, I realized something I should have known all along. Secrets may break you, but truth, the ugly, brutal, beautiful truth, can set you free. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.